Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin String coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And I decided to go ahead and pull out the pink spoon ration made by MRE Star. I am pulling up the stream on my tablet so I can see the chat. So this was from their 2025 limited edition run, and all of the proceeds from the sales of these particular rations went to a breast cancer awareness charity. And they put their pink spoon sticker on here. This is menu 4. I was not able to get any of these during the time that they were doing this sale, but I was happy to receive this. So this is chicken and rice. I had a loose chicken and rice entree made by them, but I sent that to Mike Kreischer. And they use the MRE bags that have the peelable seal, and easy to open up. And the first thing I'm going to pull out is the accessory pack with the pink spoon that they had a bunch made for this particular production run. So that is the accessory pack, and get into that in a bit. They're still using the boxes for their entrees. So this will have all of the nutritional information and the ingredients for the chicken and rice. Even put the name of the item on the end of the box. And it even has further information on here, like how to eat an MRE using the flameless ration heater, shelf life based on storage conditions, as well as contact information for MRE Star. And here is their own their flameless ration heater, and it appears that the pad is set up higher in the bag. And it has similar instructions that the standard mil-spec flameless ration heaters have, except this one is kind of an opaque, just a little bit less translucent than the beverage bag that you get in some US MREs. Shortbread cookie is their branded shortbread cookie. So most of these items will be their own branded stuff. This is their dried fruit mix. Tortillas, small tortillas, but you get 3 of them in a bag. This is what they call their power stick, so it is fruit punch flavored. And what they do with all of their drinks is they put a colored dot to kind of represent what the flavor would be and what the drink color should be like. So that will go into the drinking jar. And the last thing out of here is a cheese spread that you get in the standard MREs. Actually, this is made by Welcome Dairy. I'm going to give you a close-up of that. I had not seen that before. And there's actually date code on here. $5106. I don't know how easy that would be to read, but that's the date code on that cheese spread. And that is it for everything in the bag. I will not be using the FRH, obviously. I see waffles and tuna are here. You might have seen this briefly. I had it underneath the ration bag, but in case the coffee in here is not so nice, I will have that 3-in-1 coffee as my backup plan. Tim Riley is here. I'm going to use my little cheaters. I do like that these are more compact than a lot of the drink powder packets that you get in the standard MRE or the mil-spec ones. About the same color powder as in the mil-spec Tropical Punch. But a slightly different color after you add the water. Definitely mixes up a lot easier than the other ones, even though it is heavily sugared. So here is their standard spoon shape design, but only in pink. Sleeve of the Smarties candies, which I save. Got Enjoy Sugar, which the standard mil-spec ration packers use. Got a wet wipe. Enjoy Creamer. The Deep Rich Coffee, we'll see about that. Salt and pepper, and crushed red pepper. And their branded toothpick, and their branded napkin. So that is in their accessory pack. Only difference being the pink spoon. So all of these items that I'm not going to use, I'm going to be setting them to the side. And they'll go into my collection. These hard candies are the type that I save for long-term storage. And this spoon will go into my bag of plastic spoons. So just in case I have to resort to using that. Well, that didn't open very well. Have to rip it a little farther down. I have never been a fan of this coffee, but this is a spray dried. In fact, I got an idea. I'm going to skip these two, and I'm going to go ahead and put this Nescafe's 3-in-1 in there along with it. I find the deep rich coffee, when you make it the usual amount of water, it's very weak. If you add very little water, then it may be tolerable. Not much keeping this box closed. So there is the chicken and rice. And it calls it a stew on the retort pouch. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the water to start heating that up. And I'm going to go ahead and then I'll bring back the kettle for my coffee, and I'll be right back. I am back. Because these are a civilian ration, you will definitely not find as much as you would in a standard mil-spec MRE, but the packaging is very similar. There are the tortillas. And they do put oxygen absorbers in with their tortillas. The Carlos Perry is here. Or no, Curious Petey, sorry. I was trying to look at that from a distance, and I was going more for... I caught a glimpse of the color of the channel logo, and up that's... I'd like to see DeCarlos Perry drop in here. These tortillas are a little small. That is their dried fruit mix. Banana, pineapple, papaya, the passion fruit. Shortbread cookie is as thick as the common other US MRE cookies, and this one did break. But that's the way it goes with those sometimes. They are kind of a delicate cookie. I just repositioned it so you can actually get a cross section of the cookie. I just set the cheese spread on top of the coffee. Now I'm just going to flip it. These MRE Star Power Stick drink mixes call for 500 mils, or your standard water bottle, which is what this holds, but I like to make these a bit strong. Plus, I don't feel like using anything other than my drinking jar. I'm gonna go ahead and get the chicken and rice, and I'll be back. I am back. I use this dome lid, which is part of my regular cookware here at home. I'm drying it off with a paper towel so it's easier to handle. Get that out of the way. The MRE Star retort pouches come with their tear notches across the short side, like older US MRE pouches did. I still do the same thing. I shake it down. There's actually two notches here. There's one here. I would have expected it to be up here, but one here, which is just below the top of the food. And this one is not exactly cooperating. I would definitely call this more of a stew-like appearance and consistency. little bits of chicken. There's peas. Maybe red bell pepper. Or tomato, I'm not sure which. I got a tiny bit of the chicken, but it's very soft. The rice is very, very soft. There's a pea. And the pea has just a tiny bit more. It's got enough salt. I would probably want to put something like an Asian seasoning on that. There's the Carlos Perry in the house. Cane Corso. Thanks for dropping in. I'm going to go ahead and open up this cheese spread. And I'm going to use my little cheater. I'm squeezing it on 2 of the tortillas. This is the standard 1 ounce packet that you would get in US MREs. That's okay. You know, we're always thinking about you. Spreading this a little bit and then folding the tortillas over. And this third tortilla, I'm actually going to be dipping in the chicken stew. I'm just going to take a bite of all of it here. There's some tiny diced potato in here. Other than the chicken is about the firmest thing. I would definitely agree with the biscuits, especially if it's butter biscuits. When we go to the lake every year, one of my sisters makes a whole bunch of biscuits for biscuits and gravy, and some of them are the butter biscuit recipe. Those are really good. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just put a bit of this on here. Yeah. A little Cajun spice would also be good in this. I have this crushed red pepper flake here, but I don't want to make it hot. I'll save that and I'll go into my stash of Ration seasonings. That cheese spread from this company I had not heard of before is not quite as salty as a standard US MRE cheese spread. I'm actually getting a little bit of sharpness, so it's definitely supposed to be like a cheddar. Yeah, when one of my sisters makes her biscuits, she makes them from scratch ahead of time, and then she freezes them. That stuff mixed up very well. There's nothing left on the bottom. And even with less than 500 mils or 16.9 ounces of water in there, that's still a bit weak. I would just go with the standard cup, or maybe even cut it down. Yeah, cut it down to a standard cup for that stuff. That's the flavor, and that's a bit weak. And then one of my other sisters will cook up a whole bunch of bacon, and then lay it out flat, layer it on paper towels, and then vacuum seal it, put it in a freezer. That way there's less mess with all that bacon grease at camp. And then it's just heated up in the microwave that is in the cabin that we use. We rent 2 cabins and they both have microwaves, but the one that we use is our working kitchen because it has the larger area to set up our outdoor cooking area with the Blackstone and the Coleman camp stove, each on their own little propane tank. So, and that is just heated up, and then the only bacon that will be cooked on site will be the beef bacon that I bring. And I bring my own sausage because they make the biscuits and gravy with pork sausage, and then one of my sisters will make a smaller batch with a turkey sausage, and that is what I eat since I don't eat pork. For those that do not know or may have forgotten, I do not eat pork for religious reasons. For the same, Muslims do not eat pork for the same reasons that Jews do not eat it. But that's how we do that. This piece of tortilla, I'm just going to kind of move it around in the sauce. Crackers would have been nice. I was actually kind of expecting crackers in here, but I could not feel the shape of a cracker pack. I figured if it had crackers, it would have been hidden in between the cookie and the box with the main in it. And folks, sincere thanks for dropping in. This is from one of the cases that MRE Star sold last October, with all the proceeds going to a breast cancer awareness charity, hence their pink spoon logo. They made a limited run of these, and they raised a good amount of money for that charity. I was not able to get in on that at the time, but I was happy to get that in one of the boxes I recently received. But this is the pink spoon that they had made especially for this production run. I think it is awesome that this company chose to do that. Because More people need to be made aware of it, and that not only women get breast cancer, but men can get it as well. It's a lot rarer for a man to get it, but it can happen. I have had relatives and friends go through it and kick it to the curb. We have Culver's here in Iowa. I've only been over there a couple of times. And the last time I was there was probably the day, I think it was like 2018, when we went to Culver's either before, I think it was after my mom, my sisters, my niece, and my great niece. My niece was not with us at the time, but my great niece. We had all gone to the fair, the Iowa State Fair one day, and we hit up the Culver's after we got back. But I haven't been to Culver's since. And because it's not convenient for me to go to, it's just one of those things that if it's not on the bus route or within a couple of blocks of the bus route, I don't bother. But I do like what few items I have had from Culver's in the past. I would definitely recommend checking it out if you have one locally. I'm just going to go ahead and grab a handful of this fruit mix. The banana pieces are still pretty crunchy, so that's good. The other fruits are kind of sugared. I have several pieces of the pineapple stuck together. But they are pretty heavily sugared. And the banana pieces are fairly small. But they're still crunchy, which is good. Thanks for dropping in, Waffles. By the way, Waffles has been putting out some interesting things that he's gotten a hold of. Long form videos as well as shorts. Today he put up one about a Swedish cereal bar, like a protein bar or high energy bar, something like that. But it's different than a lot of others that you might see in rations. So he put that up. Or no, that wasn't Waffles. That was another channel. Sorry, but Waffles puts up shorts on a single component, or maybe, and he will open up a ration to show what's in it. Kind of a teaser for an upcoming video. He does his reviews a little different. He spreads the ration out over time because of the way that he eats. But he gets a hold of some really cool stuff, and he has a little fun with a lot of the rations that he gets. Adding that Nescafe 3-in-1 coffee with that deep ridge, that definitely brings that one up closer to what I like. Yeah, and folks, you don't have access to Culver's, which is a shame. But if you ever get to the United States, then you should check out a Culver's. Sleepy Dog Construction's in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Got the Breast Cancer Awareness Limited Run that MRE started last year. With the pink spoon. They give you small tortillas as opposed to the larger size that you would get in standard US MREs. Now, I'm going to dip one of these with the cheese spread in there just to see how that tastes. The cheese spread definitely cuts through the taste of the chicken and rice. Of course, that was a lot of cheese spread in that bite. But I'm going to stick to just eating the tortilla with the cheese spread by itself. This tropical punch drink mix, it tastes better than the US MRE one. It mixes a lot better. I haven't had that flavor in a good amount of time. I probably have a couple of them in my stash somewhere in a different box than what I've been adding stuff to now. But I will take this over the US MRE Tropical Punch any day. Even though it has the red 40 in it. I wish this had more chicken in it. The amount of chicken in here probably might be just enough to fill my spork if it was all the chicken. But it's definitely got enough salt. Yeah, I could have thrown the pepper in, but this is an entree I had not tried from them before. So, for the first time, I like to just eat it plain all the way through before I choose to add anything to it. Next time I get a hold of one, if I do. But this fresh fruit mix, I'm okay with it. It's good. There's a lot of papaya in this. They must have got a good deal on the papaya. I will get to that corned beef hash MRE later on this summer. It might be next month. When I get into it, I'm getting closer to, it's getting closer to when my family will head to the lake. But at the end of this month, the last weekend of this month, I'm not sure about my Sunday stream time, because the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow Committee has been accepted into the nonprofit area of the Des Moines Arts Festival, which is the last weekend of June, the 27th through the 29th, at the Western Gateway Park here in town. So we will have a meeting to discuss that and a few other things. We are also getting ready for the annual Multicultural Powwow, which will take place the second weekend in September instead of the third. We made that change due to other scheduling conflicts for the area, and that is at Jester Park. But at the art festival, we will be doing some crafts. There will be storytelling, and we will be promoting the Multicultural Powwow, its mission, why it was started, and an animator made a short YouTube video about it. And we all got to look at each draft and suggest edits to the animation, to how the text is laid out. And I suggested a symbol based on a piece of art that is across the street from where the Wallace building used to be. That building got torn down. Something else will be going in that space in the near future, but that sculpture of 4 arms, you know, each hand is gripping the forearm of the other one, and it forms a square or a diamond shape depending on how it's oriented. So I sent pictures of that and said, here's a model if you would like to use that. And so the person who made the animation took that and tweaked it a little bit, so it has a slightly different style, but it has the four colors of the medicine wheel or the circle, and each color represents a different race. So they just took that idea and made some changes to it for the animation. What I will do later is I'll do a post about it. I'll grab that channel of the person who made it and put up a post about it. But we will be talking about the powwow itself and the art festival tomorrow night. So I will find out about Sunday how long we will be there, because after the festival closes, then all of the exhibitors and nonprofits will have to take down their displays, their booths, and pack up, so that will take a good amount of time. And I intend to stay there for as much of that as I can. Yeah, these are heavily sugared. But what it does, it does help them, prevent it from sticking to each other. And of course it adds calories. But if you do your own fruit dehydrating, you can do what you want with it if you have the means to dehydrate it. If they could have gotten away with a little bit less sugar, I would still be very happy with it. The few times I have dehydrated my own fruit, I dehydrated grapes, oranges, lemons, and I think I had a lime that I'd done as well. I added nothing to them. I just dehydrated them till they were completely rock hard. I wanted as little moisture left in them as possible for longer term storage. So that's how I chose to do mine. Just add nothing to it. I'm going to take a bite of the shortbread cookie. Very crumbly, breaks easily. It's not as sweet as a average sugar cookie. I think this might be the first time I've had the MRE Star shortbread cookie. I've had some of their other ones, but it's been a while since I had a complete MRE Star ration. The individual items I've had, but a complete one, it's been a while. It could be a good Dunkin' cookie. It'd be interesting to compare this chicken and rice with the MCW chicken and rice done by Mountain House, which I'm pretty sure would be a whole lot better, would have a lot more going on. But as it is, it's a good base. If I had a little bit of my Chinese 5-spice powder handy, throw a little bit of that on there, or some Cajun seasoning, or even Old Bay. Or even a bit of the taco seasoning. I could have put a shake of that on there. But next time I get one of these entrees, I will do just that. I will play with it. Do a little something different with it. By itself, it's not bad. Because these are a lighter meal than the standard mil-spec MRE, where you don't need as many calories. It would still be good for like a day hike or just a day trip where you have to take your own food. For whatever reason. And speaking of that, I will find out tomorrow night at our meeting what we will do as far as our volunteer meals for the art festival, if we will get tickets for a meal, or we will have to buy our own or bring our own, because I do have rations. I can bring my own, no problem. I have that extra halal MRE that I also got from Art Nina that I'm not going to review because I already did that earlier last year. That will just be for my own personal enjoyment at a later time. On Friday, depending on what time I get to leave the mosque, I may just take one of the lunches that we serve after the Friday prayer, bag that up, and take that with me. Because I may just halt tail after we finish handing out the lunches. What I normally do is, after everyone has gotten a chance to get one of the lunches that we put into carryouts, then that's when I go ahead and take one and eat it. But if I hand them all out, and the other person I do it with, because I tend to do that, I will let others have a chance at it before I hold one back for myself. But I just may go ahead and do that. I also have some loose entrees that I could just put together my own custom ration for one of those days. I got a few extra components from my crusher in that box that he sent me, and I sent him a bunch of different ones from my stash for him to enjoy. I may do that. But that will all depend on what we find out as far as meals for those of us who are going to be working the White Eagle Powwow booth at the art festival. Then next Saturday, I hope to get a ride to an event where I may go ahead and grab a ration. I have a 2019 tortellini. And if I do decide to take that one, I would probably throw in a few things to add to that tortellini just to kind of raise it up a notch or three. If I choose to do that at that event, I may actually demonstrate the use of a flameless ration heater. And for something that old, throwing in salt. Some civilian and foreign military ration heaters come with a packet of water that already has the salt or something else in it in order to activate it to help it kick off. And whenever I've gotten those, I put those packets, those water pouches, in a hard container to prevent them from getting poked after I put them in a Ziploc bag. Mike Kreischer in the house. What's up? This is up. And I'm using your mug tonight, Mike, just because I felt like it. Survival Empire in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, he's got some good stuff on his channel as well. He is a newer subscriber to me. By the way, DeCarlos, you won a giveaway. I don't know if you realized that, but you won a giveaway. So I will be checking back. Yeah, check for a reply to a comment you left on a video. So that your prize can be sent to you. This is an MRE Star Special Edition Breast Cancer Awareness Charity menu from 2025. MRE Star ran a limited run of their menu lineup, putting this pink spoon in the bags. And all of the sales, all the proceeds from the sales of these particular rations last year in October all went to a breast cancer awareness charity. And they did sell out of the entire production run. So I thought that was pretty awesome that they did that. As far as I could tell, you had to buy them by the case, which I was not able to do at the time. But I was sent this menu for. I had not had this entree before. It's not bad. It's a good base. You could add all kinds of flavors to it. And this shortbread cookie. Let's see if it's a good Dunkin' cookie. the coffee flavor goes with the cookie, but it breaks up. You really wouldn't want to hold it in your coffee or your hot chocolate in there too long before it would start to break down. I would want a cookie to be, I just picked that piece up and another bit broke off. I would want my cookie just a little bit denser to be a dunking cookie, but it tastes fresh. It's still a good shortbread cookie. I suppose I could have waited till October to do this one, but I just went into my secondary ration box and I happened to pull out this one. One that is still in there is my goulash MRE. I'm holding on to that one until I can attempt to do another comparison between the American goulash MRE and a foreign ration with goulash. So I hope to be doing that one fairly soon. That goulash MRE is a 2024 pack. I got one of those in that case that Waffle sent me, so I figured I'll hold on to the duplicate for a later time. Since the first attempt was a fail, the Polish ration that I got had a can that said goulash, and that can was small enough to basically fit on top of my drinking jar. But that was a beef luncheon loaf, kind of like a beef version of Spam. And the main entree was bigos, or hunter stew. Definitely not the goulash I expected. So, oh, I'm gonna have to try that again. So that's why I've been sitting on that other goulash MRE. And that is much appreciated. So as I do with anyone who sends me a ration related package, or anything for that matter, then I give that YouTuber a shout out. Or if I do a deal with someone on Facebook, I just mention that I did a deal with someone on Facebook for either a ration trade or ration buy, or I say I bought it on eBay or whatever. My 2022 pack case actually bought off Amazon when they had them on sale. Now the next thing I'm going to try to get a hold of later on this year, I'll try to get a hold of the C-Cars. Steve 1989 did a video on all three menus. Yeah, right now there are only three menus in the C-Car lineup. I hope those are expanded. Because if a soldier had to use those for more than 3 days, then he or she might get a little bit of food fatigue, but you know, would probably still have to eat it just to keep going. Thanks for dropping in, Mike. Yeah, Mike did an unboxing of the stuff that I sent him. I found some Iowa snacks and some birch bark from the trees right in front of my building that have fallen to the ground. I pick up the birch bark that falls on the ground. I don't pull it off the tree, even if there's a good curl on it. There were a couple of pieces that had fallen off, but they got hung up in the crotch of the tree, so I knocked them down. They're no longer attached. They just didn't make it to the ground yet, but got a couple of good-sized pieces out of that. But I sent Mike some Iowa birch bark and some Iowa fatwood. But go check out his unboxing video to show you what else I sent him. I sent him the duplicate of the Ukrainian ration that I got off of a guy on Facebook. I ended up with 2 of those, but I was fine with that. They're both the same menu, so the one that had the tape on the side, I opened that up. I did a spread in that ration group on Facebook. And of course, when I did the unboxing, I opened that one up on camera to show all the contents. Plus, because that one had a bit of damage, I wanted to make sure that nothing inside was damaged. That's why I did that. But you go to my unboxing of that beast of a box. I had those 2 Ukrainian rations plus another one. And you'll see what's inside there. But I will be reviewing that ration fairly soon. Unless I decide to do the German one that I got from that same seller. But I think that will be coming up in July. I'm not sure yet. I'll have to think about it. My family trip is the last week of July. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and grab my other. I'm going to So the 26th of July, I will be at the lake. We are leaving on, if I have this right, I'll have to double check with my sisters. And I can always edit this, but the way I have it, we leave on the 25th of July, and we come back on the 31st of July, which is a Friday. So the 2nd of August, I will be streaming. But again, I will have to double check this because I can always edit my calendar stuff. But there is usually one Sunday during the week of our trip that I will not be available. It could either be when I'm at the lake, or if we come back on a Sunday, which we did once, because of the way that it was booked. Then I would not stream that day, because even though checkout of the cabins is, you have to check out by, they pulled it back from noon to 11 a.m. But we usually try to be out of there by 10. And we do some packing the last day into the last night before we leave the county park where Lake Icaria is. That way there's less to do the day that we leave. And then we pack up what we could not pack up the night before. Then we kind of just do a basic clean of the cabin, and we leave the keys inside, and then the staff will retrieve them when they come to make sure the cabin is ready for the next users. And then we all congregate at one house, because then we divide up what everybody brought. The day we leave, like one of my sisters, or maybe my niece, or one of my nephews, or whoever, or my brother, will come pick me and my stuff up and take me over to the house that two of my sisters and my brother share. Then everybody else who's going, we will all congregate there. Then we will consolidate what we can, especially the food and the fishing gear, because we fish there. And then we load up the vehicles that we will be taking. In the last couple of years, we've used a trailer to take some other stuff out of the vehicles. We just run a U-Haul trailer. That way, the vehicles aren't packed so tight that it impedes rear vision for the driver. We were just experimenting with that, see how it works. But then we all go to the lake, we check in, we go to the box. You caught a glimpse of pumpkin to the left of my tray. And I'll slide this over, you can see a better look at it. Pumpkin! Pumpkin! Now she's under my chair, which is what she does. I'm going to pull the tray back. She likes to go underneath my chair when she's out here. She was sleeping in the bathroom on my towel stack. You interested in what I'm doing, Pumpkin? Now, sometimes she shows up during my streams, sometimes not. You like being under my chair, Pumpkin? You like it down there? Silly little torty girl. Yes, you're a silly little torty girl. She hardly ever shows any interest in what I got on the tray. I think one time she did. She showed some interest when I did that Duff salmon paella ration. She did show some interest in that. Yeah, that cookie literally broke. But it actually landed on my shirt, didn't bounce down to the floor, so. Yeah, these cookies are like the U.S. MRE crackers. They break very easily. Yeah, I'll take a bite of the cookie, then a drink of the coffee. I got some of the cookie crumbs there where my entree was. No, not for Titi's Pumpkin. She was sniffing my ration bag, which serves as my trash bag. She's only done that one other time. Now she's gone into a box that's that I just leave in front of my slider. She's just going to sit there for a while, I guess. And when we go to the lake, I do contribute some of the food besides the beef bacon and beef breakfast sausage that I usually take. I usually take a pack of halal hot dogs. They're more of a backup in case my sisters didn't have enough of the hot dogs they bring. And we always have some kinds of snacks. But we don't take every single bit of food that we're going to have there, because it would mean another cooler, maybe another box or a crate. There is a grocery store in the town of Corning. So someone may make a run there, plus we get firewood so we can use the fire pit and cook on that. One of my sisters has a grill grate that perfectly fits on that fire ring. It covers the entire thing, so you can fill it full of food for our whole group. There's that swivel grate that they have there. It only covers about a third of it, but it does have an upper level to it that can be like a warming area or staging things like the pan you're going to put the cooked food on, hang the tongs off the end of it. That's pretty much what we use that for. And my sister's grate actually folds up. So when it's folded, it's only about as wide as my table. And you add 1/3 more of that width on each side, then that thing is pretty big. But I was given that huge pack of chicken earlier this year, so I may mention that to one of my sisters about bringing that big pack of chicken that's in my freezer, instead of them having to buy it, and see if they want to use it. I still have not been able to go hang out with my mom. I don't know what was the result of her doctor appointment last week. I just haven't talked or texted with one of my sisters who usually helps her with all of her medical stuff, in addition to taking her to her appointments. Yeah, the last Tuesday was our primary election day, and that's when she had her appointment. So I still have her Mother's Day gift. I still have my great niece's birthday gift. Oh, wow. Survival Empire, thanks for doing that. This Jewel thing, it used to only be available for vertical live streams, but because I prefer to stream horizontally, and a lot of us who like to stream that way, especially like Old Smoky, and a lot of others who do vertical live streams, those features were simply not available. But YouTube changed that probably a couple of months ago. They're always changing something, whether it be with the analytics, whether it be with how monetized channels get paid, pay rate, and all that stuff. You know, they're always changing stuff. But making these Jewel things available to horizontal live streams, I do like that. That's just one of those things that is available. It's to do other than a super chat or a super sticker. On some of my videos, you can find the super thanks. DC Outdoors, welcome. Thanks for dropping in. I haven't seen you here before. I do this every Sunday, most Sundays at 7 p.m. Central Time. So it's good to see you here. You're looking at what little is left of this 2025 Breast Cancer Awareness Special Edition MRE Star Menu 4. I was not able to buy any of these last October when they were sold, with the proceeds going to a breast cancer awareness charity. But I got sent one, and they had a whole bunch of these pink spoons made just for those special edition rations. This will go into my bag of plastic spoons that I save for those times when I may have to severely limit my water use and start using all of my disposable utensils. But I have washed plastic spoons and plastic cutlery before. But usually when I get utensils in a ration, they go into storage. I do not use them. I want to save them for when I will absolutely have to depend on them. I also save everything else that I do not use from a ration. So everything that was in the accessory packet, other than the coffee, because that is in the mug, So all of these things here got an MRE Star branded napkin, toothpick, crushed red pepper, Smarties, salt and pepper, which should be in all US MREs. There is salt and pepper packets. So the sugar, the creamer, crushed red pepper, the spoon, and the flameless ration heater will all go into storage. These Smarties, because of the type of candy they are, they're excellent for long-term storage because unlike things like Jolly Ranchers or chocolates or anything like that, they have a much higher melt point. So you're less apt to have those get messed up like a ration that Paul's Gear Review recently opened up, where the barrel candies, the fruit flavored candies, that kind of are like a take on Jolly Rancher meets British boiled sweets. Those things melted in their wrappers. Very hard to get open. But things like Tic Tacs, the Lifesavers, the white ones, not the different colored fruity ones. You know, the Altoids, anything like that, all those get saved. They get put into long-term storage. When I used to be a member of the Transit Rider Advisory Committee for DART, our bus system here, they used to put candies at our seats for every meeting, and I saved those. So they went into long-term storage, and because I was on that committee for 5 years, I got 5 years worth of those almost, because during Ramadan I would not attend those meetings. Pumpkin, no, leave it. She was trying to get into something that I don't want her to get into. Well, the chicken and rice has a good base flavor. It definitely does not need any more salt. But if I get this entree again, I will add something else to it. The first time I try something, I want to eat the whole thing straight up as is. That way I get to know the flavor of it, the base flavor. The potatoes and the chicken had the most firmness to it. Everything else is very, very soft, almost disintegrate in your mouth. The cheese spread was done by a company I had not heard of before, but it was standard US MRE style packaging. I just pulled it back out. Welcome Dairy Limited. It has a standard US MRE date code. It's got the nutrition facts and ingredients on the back side, just like the other packets. standard 1 ounce size. Slightly less salty and a little bit more of that sharp cheddar, a little, well, maybe a little bit sharper, almost a mild cheddar flavor than other plain U.S. MRE cheese spreads I've had. A little different than the cheese spread you might get in the British Ration. Yeah, this cookie is very dry, but it is very light. It's very breakable. I tried dipping it in my coffee. I would want a cookie to be a little bit denser for dipping, but I take a bite of the cookie and then take a drink of the coffee. I do like the taste combination that I get. This is a shortbread cookie, so nowhere near as sweet as your standard sugar cookie. You hear any meowing, that's Pumpkin just being a cat. This one had the deep rich coffee, which I'm not a fan of. I think it's weak unless you only use maybe a couple ounces of water. So what I did with it, because I've had it so many times before, I took one of my Nescafe 3-in-1 coffees that I got from Hillel Groceries last year and mixed the two together. And this is the MRE Star branded Tropical Punch. It tastes better than the US MRE version, and it mixed up a whole lot easier, even though it is a sugar-based drink. But the flavor is weak when you use the required or this recommended amount of water. I even shorted the water and it still tastes a bit weak. So next time I get that drink mix, I'm only going to use maybe a standard cup. Or only half of this bottle. This holds 500 mils or 16.9 ounces. It's a double wall bottle, so that's why it looks bigger than you think it would hold, but I would only use half this bottle this time instead of, I probably did about 12 ounces in my drinking jar. I can max it out at 13. Well, that's okay. To me, you're late if you're catching replay, but you can always scroll back to the beginning later. So I've been flopping my jaw about a bunch of different stuff, what's coming up, what may affect my stream time at the end of this month. And when I go to Lake Icaria in July, that will affect my stream schedule. But I always post up about stuff like that. But the last weekend of this month, the 27th through the 29th, the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow Organizing Committee, which I am a part of, has been accepted into the nonprofit section of the Des Moines Arts Festival. So we are hard at work trying to gather supplies for the crafts that we will do. We're going to have name tags for all of our booth volunteers to wear. Tomorrow we'll have a meeting to discuss the updates on it. I will actually be contributing some of the stuff that we'll use because of what I scored last month. Someone left a whole bag full of assorted yarn pieces of 3 different types in the laundry room, so I grabbed it. I separated them all out, and I posted pictures in our group chat. Basically describing what each type is. There's one that is best suited for putting beads on, like the pony beads you see in a lot of those easy bead kits on Amazon or eBay or craft supply places. And then there's another type that is a lot more delicate. It's a little bit fuzzier. So that may get used for something else. And then a third type, it looks like a thick thread that has this glittery type fringe on it. And I suggested that if it is acceptable, it could be used for a specific purpose. By an indigenous committee member who makes moccasins. She does beadwork with those really, really tiny beads. I mean, the really tiny beads. Now, I would not be able to work with myself. And she makes garments that are commonly known as regalia for ceremonial use, like for dances during powwows and other tribal ceremonies. She makes that. But said, if this is doable, could you use this for that application? So I will actually give her that bag to see if it is usable. Because she uses beads, she uses ribbons. Some will have little bells put on the garments, some have little metal discs that kind of flop as the wearer dances. It all depends on the style of garment and the pattern that has been requested and what materials are used. You look at powwow videos and you see what the dancers are wearing. It's that type of outfit that she does. Or she can just make a shirt for someone. She can make a vest. or she can make a ribbon skirt or things like that. She has already made and sold a few pieces. Plus, she has a few pieces in a museum in Oklahoma. She's originally from Oklahoma, but she has been here in Iowa for quite a number of years. But she is enrolled in a tribe down in Oklahoma. But yeah, she is exhibiting there. And she is in a competition to get the title of People's Artist. So I've been voting for her every day. So like I said, I will show her that particular string and see if she can use it. Thanks for dropping in, DC Outdoors. I hope to see you again. The only other times I do not stream at all is during Ramadan. That is the holy month of fasting for Muslims. I am at the mosque every day, helping with setup, coordinating the kitchen and the supply room. I help keep track of inventory. And in a kind of backdoor kind of way, I'm hoping to get the mosque into being more prepared. But that's a bit of a an issue, because it's hard for some who don't quite understand the concept, or maybe it's just a difficulty in getting certain things donated, because everything is on donation. All of the money that is donated to the mosque goes for covering operating expenses like the utility bills, the insurance. There are a couple of people who get paid a small salary, and we have to pay for the internet. We are having to fundraise for repairs and regular maintenance. So any food that is brought in, that is all donated. All of the stuff, the paper towels, toilet paper, cleaners, hand soap, trash bags, all that type of stuff is all donated. I contribute some of that myself. Like when I get the big packs of the Amazon Basics wipes on my Amazon Subscribe and Save. The next time I get that, I will only take 3 of those packs to the mosque. The other pack will go to the powwow. In the past, I've taken 2 containers that we usually run out, especially in the kitchen and the kids craft area. That's where most of it gets used. And I'll find out what we have for paper towels, because I usually contribute a couple of rolls for that. But the hand soap that I have on my subscribe and save. Most of that goes to the mosque. I might keep a bottle or two once in a while for myself. But everything else, as far as supplies go, is all donated by individuals or families, or Hillel Groceries may donate some of the food, like some of the base ingredients like rice or the halal meat or spices. Certain things like that. But during Ramadan, families or groups of people will get together to sponsor each night's meal. And during the last 10 days of Ramadan, where some people will literally spend the night in the mosque and then have the early breakfast before first light, before the morning prayer, that is all sponsored. Yeah, the mosque does not pay for any of that. So it's up to those people who are able to contribute to do just that. So I may buy a bag of trash bags. And I happen to be in a store picking up a few things for myself. I'll throw a box of trash bags in the cart, and that will go to the mosque. On occasion, I have seen that we are low on something, and if I'm in the area, I will buy that thing. There's a Hy-Vee around the corner from the mosque, so that's as handy as a pocket on a shirt, as my late dad used to say. So I will go in there, take that particular item in there, put it away, and then I'm gone. Or I may take it home, but then take it to the mosque the next time I go there. But that's how we do it there. So that is the longest stretch that I go without streaming. Then the only other times I don't stream is my annual trip to the lake, depending on when we leave, when we come back, or if there is another event that I volunteer at, then I may not stream that Sunday, depending on how late I'm away. Or if I'm not all that late, then I just simply start my stream a little later. And as I said, during the Des Moines Arts Festival, the last weekend of the month, I will find out how long we will have to be there on Sunday. Then I will adjust accordingly. And because our bus system is changing, as of the 14th of June, the buses will actually run a little bit later on Sundays than they have been. Because right now, I couldn't catch a bus to go home until, you know, if it's after 5:45 on a Sunday, I'm stuck. I would have to bum a ride. But now that will be a couple hours later that they run on Sunday. And then on Saturday, it will run an hour later than they are now, because right now the buses stop running at 9:45 p.m. Now they will run an hour later on Saturday. So it'll be the same time Saturday as it is on weeknights. But that is a big change that I am still a part of trying to help people understand. I'm no longer on the Transit Rider Advisory Committee, but I have still been attending meetings just so I can get up to speed on the progress, what's going on. You know, the changes in bus stop location, the new schedules being put out for people to pick up, which I did grab some. I have a small stack that I will take to the mosque so that other bus riders who go there will be able to figure that out. Thanks for dropping in, Wilcox. Hope to see you another time. So every time I ride, I'm helping to help people understand the transition to the new route structure as best I can. And I had got a hold of the new route map, which I used to keep system route maps in the past. I still have those maps, but because they are street maps of the city, even though my older ones are outdated because they don't have the current route structure, let alone the new one, because they have street names and location names on them, I can still use that as a navigational aid. For getting around town. So that's another side benefit of having those city transit route maps. You can use that as a navigational aid to get around your city if you live in a city that has public transit. I also grab schedules for myself so I can get familiar with the route changes that affect me directly with going to and from home and other places I frequent. And last month I got bus tokens. I am starting to carry bus tokens again, even though I use a pass because I like to have a backup plan. I use a pass, which is stored on my phone because I use the app, but if for some reason that fails, I have those tokens already paid for So I can put one of those in the fare box, provided the fare box is working, because sometimes they don't. And unless the driver just says, it's not working, don't bother. He's just, usually that happens. Drivers just tell those people to go ahead and sit. But I used to be more diligent about carrying tokas, but then I used them either to help other people out of a jam, or used it myself if I couldn't use my pass, or I hadn't got a pass at the time before the app came out where we could go through the app to buy a pass and just store it on my phone. That's what I do, but that's why I said I better start carrying tokens again. So I keep those in my bag. So every time I go out, if I need to use one, I have them there. That's just another way I like the backup plans. Just like I use an app for my laundry, but I keep quarters separate from my other change, just in case I have to use quarters for the machines here. Plus, when I had to go to a laundromat during the building reno back in 20 and 21, when we did not have a laundry room here, during that time, we all had to go to the laundromat or have our laundry done at a friend's or relative's. So I did that as well. But originally, the management company we had at the time only wanted to go through the app, have everybody use that. But I told them, there may be people who are not good with smartphones or who may not have them. There has to be another option just in case the app system may not be working, but if the machines had the coin box, people could still do their laundry when they wanted to. So they incorporated the coin box as a backup for the app, and there are people in this building who do use coins. They use quarters instead of using the app. And we have had trouble with the app on occasion, or the machines communicating with it. So having that backup plan, I'm so happy that they decided to go with that. I'm noticing this drink does not leave hardly any red residue like the standard US MRE drink mixes do. The red ones. I like that. That was just my way of secretly getting redundancy built into the system, at least around here. That way, if one thing was not available, the alternative was there for people to use. And that made me so happy when they decided take my suggestion and go with it. Now, next week, as far as rations go, I'm not sure what I will do. I have that big behemoth that I got from Mike Kreischer. I could get into that. And that one, like that Dutch ration I did earlier, that will definitely get me 3 streams worth. I could do the German one, I could do the Ukrainian one. That would at least get me 2 streams worth. I could go into that. I got that Spanish ration, but it's a breakfast ration. Sometimes those are just mostly biscuits. I have a few more US MREs left. That I definitely want to review. But thanks to Survival Empire, I am going to get a ration with goulash, a foreign one. So, depending on when I get that, that may come up in July. Because I would want to do those two, that foreign ration with the goulash and the US MRE goulash. I want to do those back to back, like I've done with the Canadian and US versions of similar menus, like the beef ravioli and the chili. I did those comparisons. That's why I want to do the goulash, because I do enjoy the US MRE goulash, but the foreign ones, especially the Polish, I do favor that one a lot more than the US MRE goulash. But now I'm going to get another one. I'm looking forward to repeating that. So that will definitely be coming up once I get that, but I will have to space that out or find a time block where I can have back-to-back Sundays to do that. But that's what will be coming up. So I'll have to figure out what I can do for the rest of this month. There's hardly any red residue left behind in a drinking jar. I like that. But I mentioned earlier, a local animator made a video for the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow. I am going to grab the link for that video and I'll toss up a post on that. So she published the different version as each stage went on. So as we made suggestions on updates and enhancements, then she would do a new version of it. But I will do that later, probably once I'm done putting in all the stuff for this stream, like, you know, indicating that it doesn't have any paid promotions, it doesn't have any AI crap, which I don't want. You know, stuff like that. So that will pretty much do it for this special edition. I'm glad I got to get a hold of one of these. And I again want to thank MRE Star for doing this. October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Day here in the US. I would love to see this kind of thing spread to other countries. Because it can happen to anyone. There are other companies that I deal with that do a breast cancer awareness thing every year. Olight does. They've done storm fundraisers. They've given out lights to first responders in disaster areas here in the US. They've done autism awareness lights. So when a company chooses to do something like that to give back, that's awesome. Other people who have these will probably review them in October. I don't know if I'll get any more of the menus from this run. It would be cool if I did, but if I don't, at least I got one. And it was a pleasure to do it. I'm happy to have relatives and friends who got that nasty cancer and gave it the shove off. And the more that can be done to bring better treatment and cures for all kinds of cancer, I'm cool with that. But I think I'm going to go ahead and close it out for now. Again, I want to thank all of you for hanging out with me tonight, especially those who've not come into my streams before. I hope to see you again. Thanks for watching, and catch you on the flip side.